This is On Hand, a podcast answering your questions about the things that make Michigan unique. I'm producer Michelle Jokishpolo. In last week's episode, we dug into the history of euchre and whether the quintessential Michigan game actually was created in the mitten. And we learned that euchre is not a true Michigan game. It actually came to Michigan through farmers who visited New Orleans and Pennsylvania and came in contact with Alsatian immigrants.
It's what you would call an Alsatian game. It is that from that area along the Rhine River where France and Germany meet.
From the 1700s to today, the way we play euchre has evolved in countless ways, and we heard from some of you on how you've made the game your own. Today, we're sharing your euchre stories.
Hi, my name is Keith Kim. I live in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So my euchre story was back in college. There was a group of us that lived in an apartment our sophomore year of college. It was 4 guys, and we never did dishes. It was the first time that we lived in an apartment with a kitchen. All of us lived in the dorms freshman year. And so I can't remember when we started it, but at some point we decided that when the dishes were completely all dirty, that someone would yell, "Euchre for dishes." And we would drop everything and play a game of euchre, and the 2 losers would have to do all the dishes. And we always split it. It was never, put on one person. So if I was playing with Paul and we lost, we would do the dishes together pretty much right after the game ended.
Did you guys just kind of start it randomly? Did you know that everyone knew how to play euchre?
I think we all knew how to play euchre. We were all from Michigan. We grew up in Plymouth and Canton. And I think it started at the beginning of the school year when all the dishes were dirty and we were complaining about who made most of the dirty dishes and who was going to clean them. And, so I forget who, but someone had the great idea that we could just play a game of euchre and, decided that way.
Would it feel fair? Let's say it wasn't, it wasn't their dishes, and yet the loser has to clean up because they lost the game.
Yeah, no, we all respected it. It was sacred, It's whoever lost, they understood, right, that they had to do dishes. They usually did it right after the game. It was literally all the dishes. I mean, the sink would be full, the counter would be full of dishes. We were all responsible for some portion of those dirty dishes. And the games were pretty quick, especially as the year went on. We were all really good at euchre at that point. We knew kind of our strategy, and everyone had their own kind of take on it. We would switch up partners, and so you had to kind of know who your partner was. Paul. We all knew Paul was the riskiest, and when he would tell you to pick it up or he would pass on something. If he had anything, he would go for it. And so, you just kind of had to know who your partner was. And Matt was really conservative. And so if he kind of was hesitating about passing on picking it up, you would go for it because you figured he had something decent.
Did these euchre games ever become, super competitive?
Yeah, I think the funniest was, there was a couple of things. One, we had a big fight about table talk, which is where you try to signal to your partner what suit would be good for Trump. And so obviously, right, if you were trying to signal heart, and you put your hand over your heart, obviously that was table talk. The big thing was if when the first round when you're picking Trump and there's the card flipped over, and if you were to say pass, there was a big fight about whether or not that was table talk, because you were kind of signaling to your partner I'm passing, but I might have something contribute in that suit. And we actually sat down and had a big argument about that, about how you would police that. And in the end, we just finally said it should be part of the game, that an pass is a signal to your partner that you might be okay in that suit, but you're not confident enough to have them pick it up.
So, Keith, are you the risk taker or are you more like the cautious type?
I would say I'm more the cautious type. Definitely more the cautious type. Paul was the big risk taker. We all just agree he's just got this incredible lucky streak to him. And so I remember one time I passed, which meant I had something, right? And so he picked it up and it was, and it turned out he had no trumps in his hand. And I said, Paul, why would you pick it up? He said, you passed. I figured you had. I would have told you to pick it up, right? If I had like 3 trumps in my hand, I had like 1 or 2 decent trump cards, and he still picked it up, and somehow inevitably we would kind of do okay with the game, and Paul's risky style would end up working most of the time. It did make for some just really fun stories and the biggest laughs, right? I think once or twice during the year, Paul would go alone and then not carry even 3 tricks. He would get, uked going alone, which was ridiculous, right? I mean, the idea of going alone is that you should get all 5 tricks, and he couldn't even carry 3, and it was always a good laugh.
Give a group of friends a deck of cards long enough, and eventually someone's going to start changing the rules.
Hi, this is Eric Farnum from Grand Ledge, Michigan. My teen years, the friend group that I had, it just kind of evolved into a daily event. We'd get together and play euchre for a couple hours and then figure out where we were going to go from there. And sometimes it just ended up being euchre all night because we got lazy and didn't want to go anywhere. One night, one of us accidentally put the 5s, the scoring cards, in with the basic deck. And we were like, we're not going to take the time here to actually go through and find the 5s. So 5s are higher than jacks. So it gave us an extra 2 trump cards on top of that. And we started calling it bastard euchre. And one of our friends he was so good at stacking the deck. You'd get 4 jacks and an ace every time he was wanting to win, but it completely screwed up his rhythm, and we were able to play a little more efficiently at that point.
Do you think the new rules made the game go faster, or did it change other parts of the game?
Yeah, it changed the strategy quite a bit because you had more dominant cards that could be divvied up between everybody. So you actually really had to think a little extra on it than just going, oh, I got a jack, ace, queen, and I should be able to pull 3 tricks out of that. Now you have to worry about 5s, and it was fun. I enjoyed it.
So why Bastard Euchre? Why the name?
Honestly, if I remember right, we were listening to a band called Fear Factory at that time a lot, and they had a song where "Suffer Bastard" was the chorus, and for whatever reason, I think Ryan was the one that actually called it Bastard Euchre. But that song was on, and we were like, okay, yeah, that's what we're gonna dub this.
Be like Keith and Eric and share your own questions and stories with us. We'd love to hear them. There's a link to the story submission form in the show notes. The form will tell you all about what stories we're looking for next. And if you'd prefer to call or email, I'll leave our phone number and address in the show notes just for you. This episode was produced by me, Michelle Jokish-Polo. Music in this episode comes from Blue Dot Sessions and from Audio Network. Thanks for listening. We'll be back in your feed next week.